Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today we're going to be taking a look at, I don't know if you can see this all too well, but this is Gauntlet Dark Legacy running on the Vegas 777 arcade hardware. As you can see here, you got a brief glimpse of this in one of my new pickups videos. What we have here is the Vegas board. This is the Sound I/O board. This is the system board, and then that's the video card. This hard drive is one that I'd imaged with Gauntlet Legends, but I have the compact flash drive with Dark Legacy on it right now. And the way that I'm playing this right now is you'll notice this extra plug here. This is the Player 4 harness, so I can now play as my favorite character in the game, Green Archer. This, of course, is connected to the Twisted Quarter power supply. I'd bought this with an idea of working an earlier Gauntlet Legends board that I'd gotten, but it didn't work out. And then I'd gotten this crazy JAMA harness, which is this one here, which I have connected. You'll see here's the 9-pin power connector. And now coming out of the actual control interface we have here, it's connected to a Neo Geo extension cable. And the weird way I had to actually do this was I kind of put two of the extension harnesses together, the Player 2 and the Player 4 and the Player 3 harnesses, and then I took this IDE cable that I'd hacked up for something else that didn't work, and I used that to actually take the little alligator clips and clip them there. And now, since this is the Neo Geo CD gamepad, I had to tap plus 5 volts and, let me see if I can find the other one, and ground here off of the actual harness here, because those voltages go for the actual real controls. And the only other button here that's of note is start, which is right here, which is actually coming off that harness, this one here. And then this one here is for credit. So when I hit the select button, it's like inserting a coin. Right now you'll notice the little LED display just has a line going up and down because I'm actually in test mode. So, and you'll notice there's the two cooling fans over there that are cooling this whole board. And if you actually feel the heat sinks here, the ones on the system board are a little warm, but they're not hot. And then the ones on the video card are nice and cool. So that's working really well. And now I don't have Player 1 controls hooked up, so basically what I have to do in order to get this out of test mode is I have to just ground the down, 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 and then hit the test mode one more time. And you'll notice right over here on my CRT I have the game running, and then on the laptop here I have the capture running, which it seems to like just encode the videos a bit quicker on this laptop. Well, we're gonna go right into the footage that I captured and take a look at the mountain realm in Gauntlet Dark Legacy. So we'll get right into that. Okay, and as it starts here, you'll see that it just says initializing disk, loading game, starting audio. And just like Gauntlet Legends, it actually starts up with the credit roll here. And you'll see some of the weapons of the new characters, the Jester, the dwarf, and all the other ones. I can honestly tell you I haven't played all that much Dark Legacy with those characters.
Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Heroes of the Realm.
And now the character that you're going to see here is a character that I had actually made while I was doing a lot of the testing of this Atari Vegas board. So I actually have a few levels on this character, and what was actually kind of cool, and one of the footage I actually had recorded, I had gotten the level 10 promotion, if you will, but unfortunately that's not seen on this footage. And now I didn't notice when I was actually recording this, but I actually had fully completed the mountain. So I seriously didn't realize that at all. I thought that I had just done the good old got the key and didn't get the runestone type thing, but Well, I'm going to be showing you this anyway.
Use key to open treasure chests.
And that's one thing I always liked about Gauntlet Legends and Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and even the original Gauntlet for that matter, was the announcer. I always thought he was really cool that he gives you all these like tips and tricks during the gameplay. And one thing I'll say about the Gauntlet Dark Legacy as opposed to Legends, now a lot of people will say that Gauntlet Legends can actually be displayed in VGA resolution, meaning 640 by 480, but that actually is absolutely untrue. Gauntlet Legends will only display in standard and medium resolution. It will not display in high resolution VGA. And that's not a hardware dependent thing, that's a software dependent thing. Because I've done extensive testing and I've asked various sources, and most people who tell you that Gauntlet Legends displays in high resolution are saying that because they're using Dark Legacy and don't realize that the upgraded Dark Legacy game actually more or less behaves a bit better. I mean a bit differently, if you will. And now, as opposed to the other games on the Vegas hardware, Gauntlet Dark Legacy is actually compatible with both the Vegas system board and the Durango system board. And apparently, from what I understand, when it's running on the Durango system board, it's actually supposed to be run a bit better. I can honestly say I haven't played it too much to really see the huge difference here and there. But if you remember correctly from one of my old videos, I have the Durango system board from that Sports Station NFL Blitz 2000 Gold / what do they call it? NBA Showtime set. The Sound I/O board on that was actually bad, but the system board is good because I swapped it out in this set and actually mounted it on the metal slab. Now, the only thing that bothers me here is the way that my capture device captures this. It actually cuts off a little bit of the right side of the screen. So, like, the numbers get chopped off just a little bit, but I can honestly tell you it's not really that bad. And now, for some reason here, I was, in a second here, you'll see my character freeze for about, like, a few seconds, because I was thinking to myself, there has to be some way I can actually fix the problem with the capture. So I was actually looking in the software right now and seeing if there's any way I could actually get that section of the screen not to be chopped off, but unfortunately, it's one of those things, since it's getting a direct feed from the video card, it's not actually, what do you call it? It's not going through a video converter or anything. There's nothing I can really adjust. So, there was sadly no way I can actually change how this game outputs to the capture device. One thing I will definitely say with that whole follow arrows thing is with Gauntlet Dark Legacy, it would appear that he actually chimes in with follow arrows a lot faster than he would in Legends. Because I can remember in Legends, I'd be looking around aimlessly forever, and he would not say follow arrows, but in Legends here, he just, I mean in Dark Legacy here, he just kind of chimes in as soon as he possibly can. And now one thing during this gameplay, I'll kind of explain it right now, you'll notice, is I do a bit of wandering around. I remember in the console versions of Gauntlet Legends that there were multiple runestones per realm. I didn't realize that in the arcade version, since I can honestly tell you it had actually been a while since I played the arcade version, like, at length.
Avoid dangerous objects.
But,
Follow arrows.
the one thing I didn't realize is that in the arcade version there actually was only one runestone per realm, so you'll see me kind of aimlessly walking around for a while, but it's not that I don't know where I'm going, it's just that I think that there's like supposed to be more secrets and more runestones. And that's one of my most favorite features of Gauntlet Legends and Gauntlet Dark Legacy is the ability to gain levels and level up your character. And the good part about it is, be it on your own hardware at home or on a machine on location, it will actually save it to the hard drive, or in the case of the game I'm running right now, the compact flash drive that the game is running off of.
Meat gives 100 health.
And this is actually a kit that I purchased from a company. I believe they called themselves like Amusement Services or something to that extent. I very well may throw their link in the description, because if I recall correctly, it wasn't an easy link to come up with.
Use magic to kill enemies.
But basically what they'll do is they'll get you the chips and the compact flash device in order to run these games. And what I will probably do at some point is get a bunch more compact flash cards and make compact flash cards for like Gauntlet Legends and some of the other games that I may have or have in the future.
That was an heroic effort.
Now, one thing I definitely have to say about the mountain levels in Dark Legacy as opposed to Legends is they've actually been dumbed down a little bit. It seems like the difficulty for the mountain levels have been taken down a little bit compared to how they were in Gauntlet Legends, because one example I'll give is in the Valley of Fire, the first level, where you would have that one section that I walked up on, and there was nothing on like the right wall. In Gauntlet Legends, on that section, there'd be all kinds of stuff. There'd be all kinds of enemies. There would be like maybe 3 or 4 generators there. And now here's what I was telling you about, where I'm going back to see if I can find some additional stuff. And I believe I do actually find an additional thing in this level. And I don't know if I ever actually told this story before, but in 2001, when I was much younger, I was on a cruise.
The legendary ice axe.
And there was a little arcade on the cruise ship. This was I believe this was a celebrity ship called the Horizon or something like that. And they actually had a Gauntlet Legends machine. And I had actually played that game so much, and and the other kids who played at the arcade at the time thought I was so good at it that if I was there, or if somebody tried to take my spot, I was always green and I was always the archer. I could actually remember those kids saying, "No, he's green archer," and like telling one of the other kids not to take my spot, and I always thought that was cool. So I kind of got a bit of prestige there, where they were like, yeah, he's the player who plays here, nobody else does. I guess it'd be the same thing like if you were known for playing like Ninja Turtles and like someone's like, oh no, he plays Donatello, you can't play Donatello, you know. Yeah, here's me still looking around to see if there's anything else. I think I actually take another loop around here. But as I was saying before, that's one thing that I think is one of the best things, is the whole level up progression of this. Because especially when it comes to the harder levels and the harder bosses, unless you want to like really bring in like a whole sack of quarters, you're not gonna really get too far unless you really level your character up, or unless you're like really super good at this game.
My power-ups.
And now, one thing that was actually done in the console versions of the game is, instead of having just the shop after, you had this common area, which was in the middle of where you would enter the stages, and the stages were actually laid out as basically there was this circular thing, and then there's all these little portals that you go in each of the stages. And then that would be your way to actually get into the stages in the console versions of Gauntlet Legends. But that was only added in the console versions, and then in that common area you could actually go back and talk to the mage, and you could actually buy stuff from him at that point, instead of having to wait between levels. And as opposed to this, where you would go from stage to stage, you would just go to the common area after each stage. And now that's another thing I can remember the kids asking me what BFG meant. Now, when I call them the kids, I'd say they were probably a couple years younger than I was. I was probably like 15 or 16 at the time. Maybe they were like a few years younger. But you know, it's one of those things. You're the oldest and said given group of gamers. You always feel like that authority figure, if you will. So that's why I always refer to people like that as such. It's not no demeaning or talking down to someone thing. It's just one of those things. But they always ask me what BFG stood for, and of course I did tell them that it's kind of a reference to something in Doom. And I'm sure if you don't know, you could easily look that up, because I'm not going to really say it in this video, as it's one of those things that's been covered a lot. And one thing I definitely have to say about, as I was saying about the difficulty differences between Dark Legacy and Legends, I could remember in Legends, if I started a new character, I was guaranteed to level up at least once from like a fresh start, whereas in Dark Legacy, it's not always guaranteed that in Valley of Fire that I'll level up at least once. But now to the actual like juicy stuff here. The Gauntlet Dark Legacy came out in the year 2000, even though like the copyright screens and everything will say that it came out in 1999, but it didn't come out until 2000, with of course Gauntlet Legends being out in 1998. Now, you probably already know this, but this is one of the, in my opinion, one of the best 4-player arcade games ever made. And as far as Legends goes, in my opinion, none of the console versions even come close to the arcade. Now, that's one of those things, the guy doesn't always chime in with the BFG, or if you've already gotten a power-up in this play session, he won't always say, hey, this is this power-up, so you just kind of remember. But more or less what you're looking at in Dark Legacy is, it's not so much a sequel, like this isn't Gauntlet Legends 2. This is kind of Gauntlet Legends ++, kind of like in the vein of like Dead or Alive ++ or Dead or Alive Ultimate, where it's kind of like taking an existing game and then adding or subtracting features from it and making it a improved version. So this came out about 2 years later, and it more or less was a, hey guys, you have this Gauntlet Legends cabinet. All you have to do is replace the hard drive and a couple of chips, and you now have a bigger money maker, because your previous players will have a new game to play, and all your new players will have more gameplay to actually do. So it was a win-win as far as like arcade operators or players go, because they're like, oh wow, it's Gauntlet Legends, but it's even more. I guess you could go as far as to say the only downfall of that is if your arcade operator installed an upgrade kit replacing the hard drive and the ROMs, you would lose your character. But then again, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have to start from scratch, I guess. And that's another thing that the announcer guy tends to get on your back for, is avoid dangerous objects, that you end up getting hit by stuff.
Insert coins to buy health.
And now that's one thing that I hadn't noticed. I have like a pencil cup in the corner of my screen, so it's harder for me to see the health. In one of my gameplays, which you'll be seeing on this channel at one point, I actually legitimately die at the boss because I didn't know I was getting low. And the announcer guy didn't say anything at all about me getting so low, and I just legitimately died. But luckily, the cool part about this game is, if you insert your 2 coins to buy your 500 health, you can continue exactly where you were. In fact, if you don't do it right away, he gives you 2 chances, because what'll happen is you will die, and then you get like I think 15 seconds, and then if you don't continue there, another notice that looks like the like use keys to open doors and chests, or the level up thing that pops up on the screen will pop up and it'll say continue where you left off, and it will give you like another 15 seconds. So you have like a whole 30 seconds in order to continue. And now here's me doing some more of this backtracking because I was thinking there was something else that I could grab here, which unfortunately was not the fact. But, like, in a roundabout way, what I was saying is, you basically have here is the Gauntlet Legends game, but it actually, they actually added some levels, like some realms. But the only thing that I complain about a little bit when it comes to this game is that the big problem I have is that a lot of the levels have been edited, like I was mentioning the differences in the Valley of Fire compared to what you have here. But that's why I appreciate the fact that I have Gauntlet Legends as well, which the two Gauntlet Legends chips came with this board. But unfortunately, the actual hard drive that I got for Gauntlet Legends, which I knew before, of course, I bidded, was bad, but I looked at it this way. I'll try to get an image off of it so I could have all the original location data, but unfortunately, as of now, I haven't found any way to do that. If I ever figure a way to do it, or if it turns out the hard drive is absolutely fried, I'll probably post a little blurb like in the description or on the screen or something. But, yeah, what I was saying about the whole Durango and Vegas system board, most of the games, such as like War, Final Assault, Gauntlet Legends, 10th Degree, they're gonna work on one system board or the other, whereas Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and I think the Sports Station games will actually work on both Vegas and Durango. But of course, with the sports games, you actually need to have the Obsidian Raven video card installed, which I do have that as well, and that is fully functional. One of these days, if I ever like really want to, I might get the sports games running and show you, because I know at this point, I know NBA Showtime is not playable in MAME. I'm not sure if Blitz 2000 Gold is playable in MAME or not, because basically your Sports Station board, your Sports Station game, I should say, since there's no special board for it, it's just the same hardware that I'm actually running this on. But the game actually has both games in it, and the cool part about that one is you can actually set it so either A, it'll only run one of the games, or B, the player gets to choose, like at startup, which game to play. Always a nice feature to have some choice, but I guess if you're an arcade operator, let's say you had it in a sports bar, and the main focus of your sports bar was football, you could set it so it only played Blitz 2000 Gold. And instead of having a basketball game, which you figure, oh, well, most of the guys that come into this bar are football fans, so why would I want to have the basketball in my bar? And then, of course, what you could do is just have the football art set installed instead of having it set up as a dual cabinet. Like, I've seen a lot of examples of that as pictures on the internet. And another cool thing here is, like, the graphics have been actually improved a bit. So everything more or less just looks a bit better than it did when it came to Gauntlet Legends. And as I said, you get that advantage of basically your high-resolution 640 by 480, so everything looks a lot better. And now there's also a bunch of secret codes and passwords, which I will go over a bunch of those here really quick in just a moment. But you get your 4 new characters that join the forces of the original 4 Gauntlet Legends characters to explore their ways through 8 realms of gameplay. The mountain, desert, forest, castle realms have been updated to match the depth and complexity of the 4 new realms, which are the Ice, Town, Sky, and Dream. There's also a bonus battlefield realm, Multiplayer gameplay has been enhanced by allowing 2 players to work together to activate special moves with new combos. In addition, Dark Legacy, as I was saying, is full of secret codes. And right now here, real quick, I'm going to go over a few of those secret codes. Now you're going to, I believe it's in the next level, there's actually a power-up, or as I like to call it, a power-down that turns you into Pojo to the Chicken from Mesa Dark Age. But if you really wanted to be Pojo to the Chicken for good, you would enter your name as Egg, E-G-G, and your password as 911. Now you can play as what's called the, stick gesture, and you just enter your initials as Egg. Okay, for some reason they have the exact same code. This code can only be put if you're on the blue side. Okay, I understand. So if you enter the Pojo code on any color but blue, you will get Pojo the Chicken. But if you enter the Egg 911 code on blue, you get the stick jester. And you get a stick figure of the Jester. That's what it is. So that makes a lot of sense then. Now you can play as an armored warrior by entering RAT, R-A-T, and 333 as your password. And you get an armored warrior with a rat's head. Now if you want to play as the Ice Dwarf, you enter your initials as ICE, or ICE, and 600 as your password. And you can only do this just like the previous code, which I did mention. If you're playing on the red side, you get a big, basically get a big dwarf, as opposed to his normal small stature. Now, if you want to play as the big-headed Jester, you enter PNK and 666 as your password. This can only be done on the yellow side, and you get a Jester with a huge head. Now, there is a cool-looking knight. You enter TAK and 118. This can only be done on the red side, and you get a really cool-looking knight, which I may have to feature some of these in one of my videos. I might do Gauntlet Legends secret codes or Gauntlet Dark Legacy secret codes as an upcoming video at some point. But one thing I definitely have to say about, well, a couple of extra codes here. We have a scythe-wielding Valkyrie, TWN, and 300. But you can only get this on the green side, and you get a Valkyrie with a scythe. Now, another one is an interesting-looking warrior, CAS 400, is your name and password on the blue side, and you get an interesting-looking warrior. It doesn't give any further discussion on that. You can get the evil-looking wizard, enter GAM666, and this code only works on, let me see, the yellow side. You get a wizard who doesn't look happy. And then the last one here is the cool-looking wizard. You enter Sky and 100. This code can only be done on the green side, and you get a wizard who looks pretty cool, according to the thing here. Now, I was going to say here's one thing I definitely have to say here, and I'm sure you can notice it by how the footage looks, but the art and the graphics in this game just look wonderful. It might be just that playing this in the pure VGA that you can see it in right now, and how everything looks so sharp. But it's just one of those things, like, especially some of the later levels, which I will show you in other videos, but everything just looks excellent, from, like, the textured floors to the texture of the enemies. The only thing that's a little bit weak, but you do have to realize this game is, what, like 15 years old now, is that the enemy models are a little low poly, but, you know, this ran on an old board with a 3DFX card.
You are now entering the volcanic
And that's another thing that I don't know if I ever mentioned before, but the actual video card that runs Gauntlet Legends is a 10 megabyte 3D effects Voodoo 2. If you let the attract mode run for a while, which is the same video card that runs Gauntlet Legends as Dark Legacy, they both use the same card. But if you let the attract mode run for a while, you'll actually see the 3D effects logo come up after the Midway Games logo at some point. I'm not sure if that happens in Dark Legacy, but I know for a fact it happens in Legends if you let the... Now that was one of those explosive barrel guys that came completely by surprise. But yeah, this is the level that later in the level I become Pojo the chicken. Which apparently was from Mesa Dark Age, but I can honestly tell you, I haven't played the console or arcade version of Mesa all that much, so I really couldn't tell you what role Pojo plays in that game. If you know more about Pojo than I do, then by all means let me know. But another thing I can quickly touch on here is the console ports of this game, which there actually were 4. You see, in 2001, they got out of the gate first, which is actually a year after the arcade came out, for PlayStation 2. And then in 2002, you get your console versions for Microsoft Xbox and Nintendo GameCube. Now, from what I've read on the internet, the PlayStation 2 version was very unoptimized, and it actually ran pretty slow, and it had a lot of glitches and stuff. So you can go as far as to call the PlayStation 2 version of Dark Legacy, like version 1.0, and like maybe the Xbox and GameCube versions, like 1.1 or 2.0, because they kind of improved the code and got everything running better. Because I know there's a lot of people... online who say the PlayStation 2 version isn't even worth like mentioning because it just is so inferior. And now that 4th version of Gauntlet Legends, which I actually hope to have someday because I just really want to see what this game looks like in action compared to like what we see here. But there actually was a version made for the Game Boy Advance in 2002 as well. Now, I couldn't really imagine, like, really getting this whole experience. I could imagine it's probably really, really dumbed down. But I'm sure if when I get that cartridge someday, which, honestly, I don't want to really run it on an emulator, it's one of those things I'll probably end up getting. Although, between you and me, if I saw the PlayStation 2 version of Dark Legacy in a store for, like, $1 or $2, I wouldn't mind picking it up just to see how buggy it really was, but I wouldn't pay more than a few bucks for it because, you know, it's supposedly supposed to be really bad, so I'm not going to pay like a lot of money for something that's more or less just a curiosity piece. Now, I can remember times when I actually had more or less ran right from here into the final boss, and I actually had a few of the super shots left over to shoot at the dragon. And what I would do is, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to do just all melee attacks and not waste my super shots, but unfortunately it would turn out there's a lot more I have to do here, so I couldn't actually keep my super shot. One thing I noticed is when I did the BFG there, the super shot actually went with it. So it looks like somehow by doing BFG I lost super shot, but I know for a fact with super shot you only get about like 2 or 3 shots. I know this was kind of the point I was thinking there has to be something more I can find here. Even though I absolutely didn't realize that I had already found the runestone here. I think I do find it anyway in this gameplay again. And this was me trying to see what was down there. I believe it's only like an anti-death power. Which doesn't really make a heck of a lot of sense that you're getting anti-death power at the end of a level. Oh, and speaking of shields, that's one other thing that if you see the earlier in I don't know if it actually happened in this gameplay, but it tends to happen with the first lobber, that guy who throws the bombs at you. But it tends to happen a lot of times when the guy would be like, the guy will say, learn how to block. If you hold the turbo button without pressing a direction, your character blocks in this game. Oh, now here's the Pojo power down, that little egg. When I come back up on the elevator here, since unfortunately I didn't realize here that the way to get the across this bridge and into the bonus level was to trigger a bridge. I thought it was something I had to do, like, one thing that comes to mind is in Crystallis, when you have the Sword of Water, if you power up twice, you can actually freeze the water. I was thinking, like, if I used one of those blue magics, it would actually be like an ice spell, and it would actually freeze it, but as you can see here, me wasting my magic, and I realized that blue was just lightning. So now at this point, I have to go back and find where that power-up, if you will, is. And there you go. There's a Pojo the chicken. And as I said, if you use that code, I believe it was on any side except for blue, you will get... You can permanently be Pojo the chicken if you really want to. Not that I honestly wouldn't really want to, because I can really say here. That's why I called this really a power down, because being Pojo the chicken isn't fun, because he doesn't move as quick, and there's the switch I had to find to. And I believe that when Pojo breathed fire there, that was like a turbo attack, or a like a BFG or something, but. I don't like how Pojo moves, and he's a bit... I guess you could say it's an advantage since he's a bit smaller, because he can, what do you call it? He can, like, not get hit as easy. And I can remember being a little bit annoyed that I had to do this in the bonus level. And now, of course, the bonus level is easily an homage to the, original Gauntlet, because it was done in a top-down perspective like this. And if you're wondering why the guy's saying join in any time,
3, 2, 1, 0.
If you have any credits in the bank, like I had 1 credit, which of course is 2 coins in this game, he'll say join in any time, figuring somebody inserted coins and they didn't use them, so he's saying welcoming other players because there's free coins up for grabs. Although the thing that's kind of weird about this game, the system is set up for 4 coin shoots, 1 coin shoot for each player. But you have a what do you call it? You have a shared credit pool. So I could imagine it'd really be like a dick move if, like, let's say you put in a couple coins so you could buy some health, and let's say the person over on the yellow side actually hit their start button and took your coins. I'd imagine that would be like really all that nice. And now that's one thing in every level of Gauntlet Dark Legacy here. In every realm, there is a, what do you call it? There's a legendary weapon that you can get, and what that'll do is it will either poison or take down the health of your boss. And you'll see that axe actually frozen for a while, which is actually pretty cool. I can remember when I first saw this in the arcade, I was thinking this was like one of the coolest boss battles ever. Especially when you have like a few friends to join you. This gets really epic. And one thing that I always compared this to all the time, because they both had dragons as bosses, is the first boss from Phantasy Star Online. Because around the same time I was really into Gauntlet Legends, I was also into Phantasy Star Online, because they were both kind of around at the same time. But one thing to make note of is the console versions that I really played of Legends, at least, were the PlayStation version was the first version that I had received, and I played a good deal of that. Of course, it was cut down to only 2 players, and a lot of the levels were dumbed down due to the limitations of PlayStation. And of course, later I got the Dreamcast version and played that a bit. But I'll easily level with you here. I didn't really beat Legends until I was in that arcade on that cruise ship when I was young. So, now the reason I went to the boss here is I was going to use all my magic potions, because I figured that'll take his health down a bit quicker and make this video a little bit shorter, because it looks like we're probably going to be around 40 minutes in all here. But I didn't really beat this until I played it in the arcade, because I can honestly say a lot of games like this, especially if they're like an arcadey type game, unless I'm really playing it like, say, in a gameplay video like this, or if it's like a shared arcade experience with other players, I don't get the motivation to like beat a lot of stuff like this. But especially when you have other people to play with, it's really a cool experience. But suffice to say, Gauntlet Dark Legacy and even Gauntlet Legends are awesome games that I'd highly recommend to anybody. And I will see you in my next video, and in some of the other videos we'll look at more parts of Gauntlet as well. I will see you later. Bye.
All 8 keys that unlock the altar of score. Buy power-ups.